if I ain't swag? Who is swag? If I ain't swag? Who is swag? If I ain't swag? Who is swag? Baby, who is?
Now let's take that back. Let's take that back. See, he knew. They called him a hater. They called this man a hater, but he knew. Let's go back.
You got the W, great job. I hope he comes back next year. I pray he don't get a Power 5 job. We can play them next year in Jackson, and I pray they put us for their damn home.
Boom. He called it right there. I hope he comes back next year. I hope he does. Prime wasn't swag, and this nigga called it.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audience.
Niggas that's hating on me. On the other hand, I got people that's waiting for me to drop that heat. Man, sometimes you gotta bake it slowly. Something like that cheese and macaroni. I'm the one and only.
Welcome to another episode of Trippin' Ain't Easy. I am your host, Trip Simpson, in the building. We got breaking news out of the NCAA, but first, let's handle business.
I know you're gonna look after family.
What family you talking about, Ice?
Fuck, I look invisible, nigga.
That's right, I'm not invisible, so do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, smack that notification bell, and select all. Now, this just in maybe about 7 or 8 hours ago, Coach Prime, also known as Deion Sanders, is leaving Jackson State University after just 2 years. That's right, after 2 years, Coach Prime is leaving Jackson State. According to Fox News, Fox Sports, Deion Sanders reportedly preparing to jump to Colorado. Let's get into this article. All right, Deion Sanders appears to be heading to Colorado. The Jackson State head coach and former NFL star is preparing to make an exit in order to take the vacant position with the Buffaloes, according to an ESPN report. Jackson State will play in the SWAC title game on Saturday, and Sanders has spent the last week working to recruit potential on-field staff and support staff to join him at Colorado, the report said. Wow, that's interesting. The report also said that Sanders' efforts included a call to a prominent player in the NCAA transfer portal. On Monday, Sanders confirmed a report that he had been offered the Colorado head coaching job. He also said he had received interest from other schools. Sanders didn't specify in the teleconference for the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship game who else have reached out besides Colorado, saying, "I'm not going to sit here and tell all my business, but they're not the only ones." The university hasn't commented on any candidates to replace Carl Durrell, who was dismissed in October. Interim coach Mike Sanford finished out the Buffalo's 1-11 season. The Pro Football Hall of Famer has guided Jackson State, a historically black college that plays in the second tier of the NCAA Division I football, to an 11-0 mark this season. The Tigers host Southern in the SWAC championship Saturday. Known as Primetime during his playing career, the magnetic Sanders prefers Coach Prime these days. He said the offer to coach the Buffaloes isn't a distraction. To someone else that hasn't been that dude, it's intoxicating. I've been Prime for a long time, dog. Sanders with a laugh. Attention ain't nothing new to me. Like, come on. I'm not being braggadocious. That's a wonderful word, isn't it? I just came up with that. But this isn't new to me. Being in the spotlight isn't new to me. Hired by Jackson State in September 2020 after coaching his sons at a Texas high school, Sanders called the fit a match made in heaven. He quickly lifted the school in Mississippi's capital to SWAC champion in 1 calendar year. The Tigers followed up a 4-3 finish in a pandemic-delayed spring season with an 11-2 showing last fall, a remarkable jump led by Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders, at quarterback. They lost to South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl. Jackson State's performance was significant beyond earning his first conference title since 2007. A program that has produced Hall of Famers such as Walter Payton, Lem Barney, Jack Slater, Robert Brazile was relevant again among HBCUs, and Sanders was determined to keep it that way. All right, no need to get into this any longer. As you can see, Deion Sanders is jumping ship. And what's crazy is that he's already looking for staff and looking to take from Jackson State already. Now, what's interesting about all this, before I get into my opinion on this, I want to first shed some light on the person who saw all this coming. And I kind of feel sorry for him, because all of you HBC Negroes laughed at him and called him a hater when he was 100% correct about Deion Sanders. He called it. He ain't swag. Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., he called it. So let's do this. Let's go back in time a little bit to when Alabama State, coached by Eddie Robinson Jr., met up with Coach Prime at Jackson State University. There was a little bit of drama, and especially during the post-game conference, Eddie Robinson Jr. called out Coach Prime and pretty much predicted what we see now. So let's get to that.
I guess me being up front is just like, I thought it was a lot of disrespect the whole week. And so you're not going to be disrespectful the whole week in the media. We didn't talk in the pregame. I was out there the whole time at the 50-yard line. He walked through our whole offensive and our whole huddle on our end zone. He came a long way around to get to his side of the field in the pregame. I thought that wasn't classy at all.
And rightfully so. Like when this came out, I agreed with him. I thought Deon was doing way too much. But like I said, they called this man a hater. They said he was jealous of Prime.
In the post game, I'm not about to give you the Obama bro. I'm shaking hand, I'm going to go on. I'm always be respectful, respect the game. You got the great guys, W.C. Gordon, Eddie G. Robinson, those guys, Reno Castle. I'm living on the shoulders of the swag. He ain't swag. I'm swag, he ain't swag. So he's in the conference doing a great job. Can't knock that. Got a great team. Son should be up for the Heisman Trophy, and I love should do. Great player. I love what he's going for the conference. Probably one of the best we had since that Steve McNair when he was in there. Love all that, but you're not gonna come here and disrespect me and my team and my school, and then want to grow up. Shake my hand and get the hell on. Period. You got the W, great job. I hope he comes back next year. I pray he's gonna get a Power 5 job.
Now let's take that back. Let's take that back. See, he knew. They called him a hater. They called this man a hater, but he knew. Let's go back.
You got the W, great job. I hope he comes back next year. I pray he's gonna get a Power 5 job. We can play them next year in Jackson, and I pray they put us for their damn home.
Boom. He called it right there. I hope he comes back next year. I hope he does. Prime wasn't swag, and this nigga called it.
Coach, would you describe it? Were you just trying to pull away from his handshake there?
Yeah, it was just pulling away. I mean, we handshaked and that was it. I mean, it ain't no need for no embrace. We ain't friends. He ain't never called me. I ain't never called him a great player. Shit, everybody wanted to goddamn be Prime down there as a little kid. All right, great player, all of that. Played against him, got tons of respect for the guy. Doing a great job as a coach. But you can't do all that stuff all week, and then you come back and put your backup quarterback and want to hit you go to try to put more points on the board. Shit's disrespect. Game was out of line, 26-12, 40 seconds left. We had no timeout. Take a damn knee. We want to try to run and hit you go. So we started listening. We want to knock him out the game too. That's how we got to play. Ain't no quarters given. So you want to do that? Don't come with me and try to bro hug me like we're friends. We ain't friends.
Facts.
You didn't shake my hand before the game. Why you shaking my hand after the game? Period. That's it.
And they called that man a hater. Now here's what Deon had to say.
One of the comments that kind of disturbed me, all the comments, that I'm not swag. Who is?
See, now, and this was what I was trying to tell. See, when this interview came out, everybody was on Deon's side. But one thing I noticed about Deon, he didn't even say anything. He didn't even address the fact that he wasn't swag. He deflected by just repeating the same thing over and over again and trying to make it seem like he was giving out some subliminal message that we're supposed to just get. No, nigga, are you swag?
I got time today. Who is swag? If I ain't swag, who is swag? If I ain't swag, who is swag? If I ain't swag.
I don't get it. I don't understand why he kept repeating that over and over again. The man called him out, and this is all he had to say.
Who is swag? Baby, who is? Oh.
So as you can see, that was a very interesting exchange between those two. Like I said back then, I sort of sided with Eddie Robinson Jr. because I understood what he was saying. Here comes Deion Sanders, this big time guy, didn't go to a SWAC, Hall of Fame NFL player. Now you want to come back to work at an HBCU for what? Is this genuine, or are you just doing this for your own, aspirations? Deion made it seem like he was coming back or coming to the HBCUs because he just had some noble inspiration to want to do something for black schools. When in actuality, we see now that wasn't the case. Now, another thing I want to get into, another video I want to show was the follow-up interview that Coach Robinson did, where he kind of explained why he said Deon wasn't swag. Now, in this interview, he's asked, what does it mean when you say you are swag? Now, keep in mind, Eddie Robinson Jr. also had a successful NFL career. But when he left the NFL, he dedicated himself to the swag. He went back, coached at the HBCU. He's been doing it ever since. He's actually in the trenches all day, every day with these kids and not doing it in front of the camera. He's not doing it to build himself up so he can move on to some white college, which, and don't get me wrong, I don't have no problem with Deon for going and taking the job at the white college. It's just, I think it was a little dishonest of him to make it seem like he was doing something for the black community by coaching for Jackson State, when he could have just went and coached, built his rep up, and then moved on. But you had to make it seem like it was a black issue while you were doing it, which is really disheartening. Like, if you want to make your money, but stop pretending like you're doing it for the black community when you're not. And you don't, and you don't even have to. You're not required to do that. So just being extra and making it seem like you're Martin Luther King of football when you're not, it's just so unnecessary and extra. But anyway, let's get into this interview. Coach Eddie Robinson is going to explain why he said Deon wasn't swag and why he is swag.
I guess if I'm going to define when I say I am swag, to me it's just, it's a history of black college that we all try to represent. And I was fortunate enough, I was blessed to walk on at Alabama State on an academic scholarship. And that's how I started my love affair with the swag. And
you got to respect that. He walked on at Alabama State and made it to the NFL. To make it to the NFL out of an HBCU is very, very, to make it to the NFL out of a D1 school is difficult. But to go, to get there from an HBCU, is damn near impossible. There's a handful of players from HBCUs that make it to the NFL.
Before that, my dad worked at the Superdome. And so I grew up going to watch the Bayou Classic, rooting for Southern, but grandma would beat them up most of the time, and we would win the band. So it's like a halftime show. So to me, I just think that swag is kind of, it goes deep for me. It means something to me. Playing in the NFL, we would talk with guys who were Jimmy Smith or Ashley Ambrose, guys who were on another team on an NFL roster. I mean, you would meet after halftime, you would talk to those guys, and it meant something. So we just didn't let everybody say that they were swag. The guys would be around the locker room saying I'm swag. It's like, nah, you're not swag, man. You ain't playing the swag. You got to earn that. So
facts, and that's all he was saying when Deon was parading around the field. You're not swag. And so for Deon to even disrespect the guys who are SWAC, who went through what these players went through, who made it to the league from the bottom, to sit up here and parade like you're one of them and you're not, that's disrespectful, man. You a visitor here. Have some respect. I get exactly what Eddie Robinson Jr. is saying. They take that shit seriously. It's damn near like a fraternity. They take the shit seriously.
So to me, when I say I'm SWAC, it's about that history of going through the HBCU ranks, riding the bus from here to Houston to play a game. Fortunately we fly now, but those are things we went through as young players coming through in the late 80s and early 90s. So I guess that's where I was from an emotional standpoint, but I don't think that had any bearing on the football game. I mean, it was a great game, great guys that played, and hopefully it can get back to the focus on the kids and not the coach.
So there you have it. Deion Sanders basically pulled a move. Deion Sanders pulled a move in classic primetime fashion, the same way he used to do in the NFL. I remember when we're talking about the same guy who went to the championship, beat the Cowboys as a San Francisco 49er. The next year, goes to the fucking Cowboys. And then 2 years after that, goes and plays for the Cowboys rivals, the Washington Redskins. This guy has no cut cards. Prime time is about prime time. And I knew that with him going into the Jackson State situation. I already knew that. It was evident. But unfortunately, to wrap this up, there are some sad truths that we have to explore in order to further understand what's going on here. Now, I'd like to give a disclaimer. I don't have anything personal against HBCUs. I'm just here to tell you the truth. My kids, now granted, me personally, I want my kids to go to a PWI. But if they decide to go to a HBCU, I'll support them. But there are just some sad truths about HBCUs in this whole situation that needs to be addressed. See, the fact that HBCUs let Deion Sanders come in and do this just goes to show you why HBCUs are in the position that they're in. And to a certain degree, it kind of shows you why educated black folks are in the position that they are in. Because no one looks at the history of anything. No one looks at where things derive to try to get an accurate perception as to what is really going on here. Okay? So let's get into these sad truths about this situation. Number one, HBCUs were designed to keep black folks as second-class citizens. All you have to do is check the endowments for a lot of these schools. They belong to rich white families who never sent any of their kids to any of these black schools. All you have to do is take a deep dive into who actually founded these schools and what they founded them for. For instance, let's take the top three schools: Howard, Morgan State, and Hampton. Howard University was founded by a white man by the name of Oliver Otis Howard. Hampton was founded by a white man by the name of Samuel C. Strong. Morgan State was founded by a rich white man named Thomas Kelso. If you look into all three of these individuals and what their reasoning for starting these schools were, you'll see why I say HBCUs were invented to keep black folks in a second-class citizen's place. All they did was funnel the smartest black folks into these colleges and basically teach them to be at the management level for second-class citizenship. That's pretty much why they were created. Now, granted, it's 2022, so of course, a lot of these schools have evolved into other things and have started to specialize in things that could actually, elevate people to higher levels. So I'm not going to take anything away from Howard, Hampton, or Morgan State because they definitely produced some very, very successful people. But in general, that's what HBCUs are designed to do. Now, second sad truth. When it comes to Coach Eddie Robinson tried to warn you guys. He tried to warn you guys that Coach Prime didn't really give a shit about the SWAC or HBCUs. And as a matter of fact, like I showed you in the video, he predicted that Sanders probably wouldn't even be back the next year. Y'all called him a hater. Y'all laughed at him. Y'all said he was jealous. But look at him now. He was 150% right about Coach Prime. And now all the wind that Jackson State had, that they built up through Prime, is gone or will be gone. Because all of those big-time recruits that were following Deion Sanders to Jackson State are now going to follow him to Colorado. And they're not going to think about Jackson State anymore. He gave Jackson State a good 2-year run. They made a little money, and that's it. Now we're going back to HBCUs being completely off the map, and Coach Eddie Robinson called it. The third sad truth. Deion Sanders is your typical black celebrity. They use the struggle and race to build themselves up, and then what do? They sell out to the highest white bidder. He pretends to care about HBCUs. He pretends to care about these young black players, and he pretends to care about the program that he allegedly was trying to build, only to turn around and abandon them after 2 years. So what does that teach these young men? What does that teach these young players? It teaches them the same old white man's ice is colder mentality that all of the scared old Negro, AKA hashtag sons, the same old mentality that the scared old Negroes have. But hey, what do I know? That's just my take on it. Do me a favor. If you agree, disagree, or you're indifferent, leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Smack that notification bell and select all. For myself and the whole team here at Trippin' Ain't Easy and Straight Talk No Chase, peace out. Catch you on the next one.
A lot of niggas that's hating on me. On the other hand, I got people that's waiting for me to drop that heat. Man, sometimes you gotta bake it slowly. Something like that cheese and macaroni. I'm the one and only.